back to Main Street Living. Quincy, Danielle, the pandemic has brought many challenges, but I could not imagine trying to date during a lockdown.
Yeah, Cheryl, you're lucky. You're all locked up and married, lady. But the global pandemic has Quincy as well, me not so much, serious but not permanent. But the global pandemic, that's what I always say, serious but not permanent. Global pandemic, right? Changed the way we did a lot of things, and it definitely changed the way that dating's been approached for people. People are looking for their soulmates, and it's harder than ever. So online dating and dating apps have been gaining popularity for a while, but now it's just about the only way you can do it. So here to explain some of the ups and downs of this, we have Loveologist and CEO of Good Clean Love, Wendy Strgar. Wendy, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's a delight. Thank you so much for having me. I think that there's a silver lining in this dating during COVID. And that's kind of how I've been talking about it, which is that, for such a long time, dating had gotten reduced to swipe right. And people were meeting that didn't know anything about each other. And there was a way that safety really had sort of dropped out of the question. But of course, COVID brought up this issue of safety for everybody in so many ways. So there's a way that it kind of sweetly translated what we were doing in relationship, where suddenly we wanted to get to know somebody again. Like this is like, the old times coming back.
Yeah. So, wow, like that's interesting. So you touched on the COVID part of this online dating world now, but more people than ever are resorting to online dating apps. Is this a good thing? Like, what's your take on that?
Well, I mean, I think that, even before COVID, I have 20-year-old kids. And I have to say that outside of a college setting, it's so challenging for people to meet each other. One of my children, did go on an app, and it literally was weeks of very slow courting for him to even get this girl to walk with him. And he's like, this is crazy. And I'm like, this is the world now.
Right.
But I think that there's a real gift in it because they did really get to know each other and they're still seeing each other, which I say to him all the time, that's a miracle that you met a new girl during COVID, So,
yeah.
So I think that, I think that there's a lot of reasons to build containers around our relationships for safety. And I think that COVID kind of forced that. And, and starting in a dating app, which is what dating apps really were for originally back in the early days of Match. It was like, oh, who could I even talk to? It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to decide to hook up with this person because I see 4 photos of them, right? So I think I think the silver lining is that COVID kind of pulled us back and made us realize, that our safety actually lives, not just am I going to get this virus, but, do I really want to know this person? And I think that might be a lasting effect of how we interact with dating apps. I hope it is.
Absolutely. What tips do you have for people who want their own success story here? Either people who are ready to kind of, as things start to open up again, go back to regular dating, or even people who are still kind of stuck with the virtual dating. Any tips?
Cultivating your own skills as a listener, because I think in this time when people have been really separate and lonely and, afraid for a lot of reasons, that really, that capacity to show up in that listening way makes you way more attractive. And I also think that we could rely on simple old tricks, right? Like things like, I've heard of people telling me that they started writing correspondence to each other before.
I love that. I love snail mail.
Yeah, but I mean, having a letter, you would keep that for all time, right?
Yeah.
And or sending somebody a book through Amazon that they remind you of, right? Like,
or your local bookstore.
Yeah, little things, right? Like where we show up and we show who we really are. Like I think creates long mileage in creating lasting relationships, and so. I think that many things are available to us, even as many things are still opening up. And what I would say is that, when we show up truly and disclose who we are, there is an immense beauty and vulnerability and power in that. So
I love it. Really quick before we go, your information is at the bottom. Really quick, how can people get in contact with you?
Well, so I own this beautiful company, goodcleanlove.com. We have all kinds of really fun products for whenever you do meet that person, and a lot of products just to keep you healthy. And I've been writing a blog for about 20 years called Making Love Sustainable. And it's kind of my oeuvre, of my life. And so there's so much good wisdom about how you hold relationship close in your life. And I just want to comment on yours, close but not permanent. And everything in the world is changing all the time.
Yeah.
Right? But actually what I would say to you is put 2 feet in the door, because you don't know what that thing could be until you fully show up.
That's very true. We don't know.
Yeah.
2 feet in the door. Thank you so much, Wendy, for joining us today.
Yeah, really fun to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys.
Wow. Well, 2 feet in the door there, Danielle, and we got more.
I'm 2 feet in. I'm 2 feet in.
We got more coming up.